Hey, welcome everyone to Beat the Game. My name's Steve, and today we're here to talk about the fifth aspect of Marvel Champions: basics. Yes. All right. So a lot of people will debate me on this. That is not an aspect. It is just complementary cards. But I'm here to prove them wrong. And basics is a solid mode of play, and we're going to be experiencing and talking about the aspect strategy that is basics. So if you guys like these kind of videos, please share, like, subscribe, leave your comments. Remember, until January 31st, everyone who posts comments into these videos will be eligible to get a set of OP hero cards and the promo pack cards, organized play cards, not the villain ones because I don't have those, but I do have the extra. I do have 4 extra packs of the hero sets. So that should be pretty fun for you guys. If you haven't had a chance to see them, or if you want them and can't get them, well, this is a chance to get them for free. I was lucky enough that my local LGS was generous enough to give me the extra copies he had. So because there's no events being held right now, so thank you for them. And then yeah, let's start right away. So the first thing we're gonna explore, we're gonna move some of these cards out, and we're gonna go a little bit more in focus here. We're going to talk about the resources. Now, obviously, double resources, there's a reason why it's max 1 per deck, because it is super good. It's basically a 2 for 1. Now, there's only 3. There's the double strength, the energy, the genius. But coming this week or tomorrow, maybe if we're lucky, in the Wasp pack, there's going to be a new card, a new basic resource card, which is called the Power in All of Us, which generates 2 resources like the aspect cards for a basic gray card. So now we're going to have 4 cards, up to 5 cards that can generate 2 resources. That's 5 cards out of 40 normally that can generate double resources. Man, that is good. So imagine that. You have a genius and a power with all of us, and you're paying Nick Fury for 2 cards, netting you an extra card plus an ally that's Nick Fury. Money! It's so good. So yes, resources, very good. And in the strategies, obviously having these double resources are extremely efficient. Now, let's talk about, before we talk about, just the resources, let's talk about the strategy. What kind of strategy can I expect from a basic deck? Well, the main strategy, and there's not that many right now because of the limited card pool, but the main strategy is support. So you can, if you're playing in a 2-player game, a solo game, a 3-player game, 4-player game, support is what you want to do. So you can choose any hero that you want, any hero in this deck, in the game so far, and you build him just in basics. And basically what you're going to do is, within 1 or 2 deck passes, you should be able to have only your hero signature cards in your deck plus the resources. That's if you build them properly. All right, so you don't put any aspects, you just go gray. All right, so let's talk about what cards we want to do in this. So I think the best way to start is with the upgrades. So we're going to move these resources out of the way, and let's talk about the upgrades. Honorary Avenger. Now, right now, the only one that can't play Honorary Avenger is Ms. Marvel. But Ms. Marvel, to me, is the best character in basics, just because all of our cards are amazing and everything else, but everything else works. I'm going to stop talking this Marvel, or else I'm going to go off on a tangent here. Honorary Avenger. So if you have somebody else, if you're playing Ms. Marvel, give you the title, you're going to be an Avenger, even in Alter Ego, even in Hero. So every other character that is an Avenger right now can play this card. This is a 0-cost card when you are in Hero form only, because you need to be an Avenger. So let's say you flip your first turn and you put this on yourself. Then when you flip to Alter Ego, you are still an Avenger, so you can play multiple copies of the Honorary Avenger on yourself, which is fine. Or you can play it on allies, you can play it on something else. And these are, if you get caught off guard, It's an easy card to discard because it costs 0 and you can just filter back in your deck, and next time you see it, you put it back on. It also boosts your allies. So it gives you an extra activation for every one of your allies. So this is an amazing card. It's so underrated because it is a deck thinning card. And this is the whole point of the support, ultimate support strategy, is that deck thinning. So your hero cards, your 15 hero cards, are the only ones going to be left in your deck, and your deck is going to be extremely powerful. All right, so that's the Honorary Avenger. All right, that is the first one. All right, so there's 3 copies of this. They come into the Captain America pack. So if you don't have the Captain America, well, this comes in with that, and it's so good. All right, next card we're going to talk about, Endurance. Now, this comes with Ms. Marvel, the hero pack from Ms. Marvel. And again, it is a fantastic card, all right? Plus 3 hit points. So as a card that plays support, so if your character is going to be the support guy, you can play this on any player's control. It does say any player's control. So you can give this to any one of your friends that you're playing with. If it's a 2-player game, you put 2 in your deck, you put 1 on you, 1 on somebody else. If you're in a solo game, just put 1 and get rid of it. All right, so, and then it's on the table, you put it there. Plus 3 HP means, you got a little bit more resistance, you got more health, and it's just gonna make you last longer in fight mode. All right, so that's to talk about Endurance. Again, great card to play. Next one, Downtime. A lot of people don't like Downtime. I don't understand why. Downtime for me is super practical because when you do need to go to Alter Ego, you recover plus 2. So it's basically, for most of the characters that have a recovery of 3, this is basically a double recovery, all right, in one turn. So if you have a recovery of 3, you have a recovery of 5. If you have a recovery of 5, you get a recovery of 7. Geez, that's insane. It's basically almost half your total. So again, this is a super efficient card. It goes on the table, it thins out your deck. Again, the best cards in your deck are always going to be your 15 character cards. So playing cards that are going to get out of your deck is super worth it. All right, and the quicker you play them down, the better your deck will be. I know sometimes it's very easy to get tempted. Oh, I want to do my big damage attack, and I'm like, but if you play these cards, you're going to see your damage cards come back way more often than when you as you thin your deck out, because then all these cards are gone. So the more you play these cards, the better your deck becomes. All right, I'm going to keep that. I'm going to be saying that almost all the time. Target Acquired. Now, this is a fantastic card, and especially with a lot of the modular sets. So I'm talking about Ultron, against Ultron, who has the Concussive Blast with that modular under attack. Against the Green Goblin mutagen formula. If you're getting the goblins and you don't want to deal with another goblin, if you are in hero form, you get rid of the star icon. So there you go. You cancel that card's boost ability. So you cancel it. So it says put that minion into play, or even my best is when you get monster as a boost card and you have target acquired, it says shuffle monster, and put him in that discard pile. And that's it. And then you don't have to deal with monster or the goblin knight or anything. And another one, Ronin the Accuser. If you have that modular set, which is extremely powerful and damaging, getting targets acquired on the battlefield is just gonna, it's only max once per player, so that's important to know. So I don't recommend running 3 of them, but having 1 in your deck is very, very efficient, and it can save your butt in a snippet. All right, so target acquired, definitely in the support strategy. Espionage, I like, only to deck thin. All right, so it's not a card. It's going to generate you more cards later. There is a condition on it, which is something I don't really like. So unless you're playing Black Widow or Spider-Woman, and you have the spy character, great. Or else then you have to wait to get either Nick Fury or Mockingbird in basics to get that spy character. The only one that can play that spy character is as long as you have a spy character. It doesn't have to say your identity. So again, if you're playing Captain Marvel and you have the Spider-Woman ally, well, you can actually play that and still play in basics. All right, so that's a couple of things that you need to know. For Espionage, I like it, and yet I don't like it. I like it only to deck thin, because technically what it is basically you're paying 2 cards to draw 2 cards later. All right, so that's what it is. So for me, it's not an auto include in my ultimate support strategies. It is okay, but it is not the best. All right, so this is definitely not one that I normally auto include. Resourcefulness. Now, this might seem weird, but it is basically pay 1 for a wild later. Now, resources though, this I can always get behind. Because especially if you're playing characters like Hulk that don't have a lot of resources, and that need a lot of specific resource types to activate better effects. So resourcefulness is great, and you play it, you get rid of it, and it's on your deck, and if you actually need it, then you use it. But you keep them on the battlefield, and it's there you go. If you only use it when you absolutely need it. Again, your deck is going to be extremely powerful, because again, these are all 1-cost upgrades that can just get out of your deck and make your deck smaller, so you get to see your 15 cards more often. All right, so resourcefulness, run 3 of those all the time if you're going to be running a support-only deck. All right, Sorcerer Supreme, well, that is a card that is only for Doctor Strange and Wanda Maximoff when she comes out. So Scarlet Witch, she'll be able to have that card as well. So right now it's only for Doctor Strange and Wanda Maximoff. So we're not going to spend too much time. Now, these are my favorite cards. All right, it's the Enhanced Awareness, Reflex, and Physique. So this gives you, for 2, it gives you 3 resources. So it's a +1 later. But having these out on the field is amazing, especially the Enhanced Physique. Because the Enhanced Physique, I don't know if you've seen some of my challenges, but when I use my quiver, I did my Hawkeye challenge where I did empty my quiver, and I had to ready myself about 15 times. This is how the combo happens. You use 2 of these, and then you use your tenacity, and then once you're ready to pull off your combo, you use the last one and the tenacity, make them go away, and then you ready your hero. And then you have 3 of these, so that's 6 cards out of your deck, and then it's 3 extra readies. So 3 extra readies, if you're playing Hulk, it can just be super devastating. You know, punch for 4, punch for 4, punch for 4. That's already like 12 damage right there, and that's if you don't have any other upgrades. Now, there's a couple of new upgrades that are coming in, and I want to really talk about those. And they're coming in the Quicksilver pack. It is a 1-cost upgrade that says, until the end of the round, boost your attack by 1. Until the end of the round, boost your thwart by 1. Now, I don't have the pictures or the names. I know they're coming in the Quicksilver pack. But if you add 3 of those, and you have that 3 tenacities, so that's basically a +3. So that means you could have an attack of 7 if you're Hulk. Okay, you have Hulk, you have your upgrade, so that is 4. And then you have the 3 tenacities set up, and then you have the 3 that 3 +1 attacks. Well, man, then that means Hulk is attacking for 7, 7, 7. That's 21 damage, and that's if he doesn't have any other of the other cards that can get him ready, like his I forget. Overground Leap there, which is if you pay 2, you ready Hulk and then draw an extra card. So there's all these super crazy combos that you can do in basics that you can't do with any of the other aspects. Like the Enhanced Awareness, this is always good to have, especially if you're playing Iron Man. It's basically your aerial on a stick. If you're playing Captain Marvel, this is basically for 2 costs. It's a heal 1, draw card. Heal 1, draw card in hero form. So these enhanced are super, super, super good in so many situations where you need like a specific color or a specific resource type. So these, again, playing a set of these, again, you thin out your deck and you have the resources you need when you need them. All right, so a lot of times you'll hear me say it's all about the build, and yes, it is always all about the build. So these are the good cards that you can play when you are doing your upgrades, your upgrade choice. Now, the support cards. Now, there's a few new support cards that are really, really amazing. Team building exercise. Now, this is very good if you're playing Thor, if you're playing Ant-Man, if you're playing, who else? Oh, Ms. Marvel is going to be actually really good with these coming with a few new hero packs, especially with the Wasp. There is 2 new Inhumans that are going to be coming out. 2 new allies that are Inhuman. Oh, no, sorry, champions that are champions. So these guys, this is going to be able to help pay for those as well. And again, if you're an Avenger, as long as you're in hero form, you can use this to pay for any card that has the same trait as you. So if you're an Avenger, you can reduce the cost of the Avengers you're playing by 1, which is good. If you're a Spy, if you're Shield, right now there's no Shield, but there is Spy. So you can use it to pay for the Spies, the Avengers, Asgard. Gamma is going to start being a thing in a minute because there's I think She-Hulk is Gamma, and then I think there's a couple of other Gamma cards there in the card pool that from what has been spoiled. So this is going to be really, really fun because these team building exercises, that extra resource, that resource reduction is going to go a long way. So definitely team building exercise. I don't recommend running 3, even if you are playing a Thor deck. Just 1 is always enough, and then. But if you're playing him in neutral Thor, then yeah, because the thing is, once you played all your cards, well, these cards become just kind of dead cards, and they don't serve any more purposes unless you're throwing your hammer every turn, and then boop boop, and then you just pay for your hammer by exhausting this, which is amazing. Actually, yeah, play 3 with Thor. That makes sense. Then you do 3 hammer throws, and if you haven't won the game by then I'm sad. And another great combo with the team building exercise is the Avengers Tower. Now, this is a super amazing combo. A couple of times, people don't really realize this, but let's say you're playing Hulk, not Hulk, She-Hulk, and you have, what's her name? Hellcat. So Hellcat is an Avenger, and then you can decide to bring Hellcat back. You pay her and reduce the cost of 2 and play her for 1 resource. And then if you have anything else, and this allows you to have anyway 1 more Avenger. So even in basics, you can have 4 Avenger allies. And you're like, well, are they really 4 Avengers in the basics? No, but you have the honorary Avengers. There you go. And you can put that on some of your allies that are not Avengers and keep them into play. And then you can have a max of 4, which is fantastic. So these are nice little combos. Again, Avengers Tower, it's 2 to reduce the cost of anything else you play. But at one point, once you thin out your deck so much that you're cycling your allies every turn, it's just crazy. It's crazy goodness, and it's so, so powerful. So Helicarrier and Quinn Carrier. Now, these again, if you're playing solo, if you're the only one playing in solo and basics, then obviously these are super, super good. In multiplayer, I recommend playing Helicarrier over Quinn Carrier unless your hero requires a lot of specific interactions with resource types. But Helicarrier, again, is by far the best because you can reduce the cost of other people's cards. So that is very good. And then these cards, again, these is resource generation. Again, so it thins out your deck and gives you extra resources. It is champion. And why not finish that with the Avengers Mansion? Again, super good combos with the team building exercise. So team building exercise, reduce, it has an Avenger. It says the word Avenger. So you can reduce the cost of the Avenger Mansion by 1 with your team building exercise, or the Quinn Carrier by 1 with your team building exercise. So these are amazing supports right now that can really, really ramp you up. And then, because support strategy is all about permanence, we're going to save the events for last. We're going to look into the allies. Now, again, we have 2 new allies that are coming out with, we have Ironheart, which is coming in the Wasp Hero Pack, which is for 2, and it's a 1/1, so that's amazing. She's a champion, so again, if you're playing Ms. Marvel, she is a champion, so she can help pay for that as well. And then Spider-Man, Miles Morales, so that is 2 new gray allies that are coming out, hopefully tomorrow, cross my fingers. So that's going to be some new exciting cards to play with. So there you go. So those 2 cards, so those new allies, but the allies that we have right now that are super strong, Blockingbird. So Mockingbird, you know, when she comes in, she stuns the enemy, which is fantastic. She is a spy, so she lets you play those spy cards that, so if you wanted to play the espionage and stuff like that, well, she helps you pay for that. And then you can just keep her on the table, and then she stuns, she removes threats, she blocks for you, and then she good. So if you, if you've thinned out your deck so much that you only have, let's say 10, 12 cards in your deck, that means you're gonna play her, you'll block, you'll shuffle your deck, and you might draw her again next turn, shuffle. So you can get into kind of a locking position with these amazing allies. My favorite ally by far is Lockjaw, because again, at one point you might have so many cards in your hand and you're like, I need a blocker now. All my allies are gone. Oh, well, I have Lockjaw in my discard pile. I can always pay for and bring him back. And that is why I think Lockjaw is one of the most underrated allies out there. The fact that he can keep coming back. Hulk loves this guy. Thor loves this guy. She-Hulk loves this guy. Because even if you have 4 cards in hand, you can always pay for Lockjaw with 4 cards, which is great. It makes your hand, there you go. I play my hand, get Lockjaw, thwart for 2, block for 2, attack for 2, whatever you need him to do. And he's so good. All right, one of my next ones, this is, again, he is an Avenger, so this is very good because, again, it is a neutral card that has the Avenger trait, which is fantastic. He is also Shield, and he is a 2/2 with Tough. So again, you get a super strong ally that has a tough status card when he comes into play, and you can use him to block, and then you can use him to do 3 thwart or 3 attack, which is fantastic because he also has ranged. So if you're playing against Armanzola or characters that have the retaliate, well, this is the guy you want to keep alive. This is the strong man. He is the one you want to get. So War Machine is super champ. And then obviously we have Nick Fury. Nick Fury in any deck. The fact that he can draw 3 cards, remove 2 threat, or deal 4 damage. Man, if you're playing support, you can use him for whatever you want. Because at one point, at the first time, you'll use him for draw 3 cards. But next time, you're like, man, what am I doing with an extra 3 cards? Nothing much. I'll do 4 damage. I'll remove 2 extra threat. I'll do this. Which is why it's so good. So Nick Fury, and the thing is, once you've thinned out your deck and you have all your 15 cards, only your basic hero cards left in the deck almost, you're going to be seeing Nick Fury every other turn, and that is going to be amazing. You'll be like, oh my gosh, he's like special guest star coming in back time after time. All right, and then the last one is Heimdall. Now, I love Heimdall. A lot of people say, well, he costs 5. Man, Heimdall is 5 for game control. The fact that you can look at if you're playing solo, the fact that you can look at what's coming up so you can actually plan the villain's next turn, amazing. And then you just keep him alive. You can thwart for 10, basically, if you give him an honorary Avenger, and then you just keep him on the board and heal him. And he's got that 3 attack if you absolutely need it, but normally, you just keep him for the thwart of 2. All these allies that can thwart for 2 is what is going to make this support strategy so good and so balanced, because you can help out by placing everyone there and just using your allies. Even if you stay in alter ego, even if you say, look, I'm going to stay in alter ego the first 3-4 turns, and my allies are going to do the job. My allies are going to remove the threat. My supports are going to help build everyone. And then when I'm ready, I'm just going to flip and then do crazy amounts of damage. All right, so the last thing we need to look at are the event cards. Now, there is one event card I'm going to want to talk to you about in just a second, but it's a new event coming in the Quicksilver pack as well. So that's going to be super exciting. And it's going to make one character that I love the best character in the game by far. And I won't tell you why. Assess the Situation. Assess the Situation is a +1 hand size until the end of the phase. So it is a card that I would recommend. You know what? If you're playing Ultimate Support, this is actually a very fun card to play. It's good with a lot of characters. So you get the +1 hand size until the end of the phase for everyone. So that at first there was a big debate on Iron Man that said to a maximum of 7, and I wasn't sure if you could bring his hand size to 8 or 9 or 10. Apparently you can, because it's his printed hand size, and then it's just +1 until the end of the phase. It's just the way that Iron Man is written with assess the situation. It's kind of weird because it says to a maximum of 7, and if you have a +1 hand size, can it really go up to 8 because it says a maximum of 7? So there, my debate is still the way it's written. I still find it's kind of weird. But everyone else, you can just go crazy. And if you have all 3 in your hand, well, just play all 3, and then your next turn is going to be brutal. I don't recommend running 3 because, again, you want to run as the least amount of events cards possible, unless you're playing a strong character that only has permanents. Like I'm talking Black Widow, Ant-Man, Iron Man, that has all these. His set cards are mostly all permanents, plus all the permanents you're going to be putting. Then start running a couple of these, and then you're just going to have these killer ants when your turns come. So assess the situation. Again, I recommend, like if you're playing Hulk in basics, maybe run just one of these. Aside from that, everything else is good. All right, Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Oh my gosh, is this card good? So underrated. So this is all, obviously, it's extremely good with all the Avenger characters that are out there right now. But man, you can keep your allies. Oh, your ally doesn't do anything. Oh, he's about to die. I want to keep him as a blocker. He's an Avenger. Oh man, my hero's exhausted and he was stunned. So, all right, cool. I'll exhaust my ally, and then I'll just ready my hero. Or, oh, my hero is confused. I can't use him right now, but next turn I think I'll be able to remove the confuse with something else. All right, exhaust your hero, ready your ally, have your ally do something else for you. This is so good. It is such a good card that it's super underrated. And again, if you're running a lot of Avengers in your deck, yes, definitely get it. Like I'm talking all the heroes that have Avenger allies, like Black Widow, like She-Hulk. Who else has an Avenger ally? Spider-Woman, Captain Marvel. Those are the ones I think I just offhand I remember that have an Avenger ally. So this is super good for them because their signature ally is included, and then you have the other couple ones there that you can add. Emergency. Now, again, these are more thematic cards. Like these little events, I've used them only for special like events or special like achievements. I didn't really use emergency all that much, but it's like, oh, when the villain schemes, reduce the amount of threat placed on that scheme by 1. So it's good if you want to stay in alter ego. I definitely recommend these. If you're running, if you're like nobody's running justice, then this is like a less effective foiled. But it's still, you know, he's placing 5 threat, he's placing 4 instead of 5, you know? So is it good? Yes. It depends, again, what characters you're using. If you're planning on staying in alter ego the whole time, then I would definitely recommend running 1 or 2 of these for sure. All right. Warning, same thing. I used this when I did my Iron Man challenge and my Spider-Man challenge, where I didn't want to take any damage during an entire scenario. Aside from that, I don't. When a hero, it's only when a hero would take any amount of damage. So it works with indirect damage. It works with other things like that. But it only works if you're playing with protection. And so this one is not a card that I would actually recommend playing in a control support environment. First aids, though, I definitely recommend running 2 or 3 of these. If this is the only event you want to run, this is probably the one I would run, because you want to keep your allies like Heimdall, like War Machine, healthy, so you can just use them again and you don't have to pay 4 all the time. So think about that. You know, you using this ally that costs you 4, you keep him on the table the entire game, man, and he's generated so much thwart and so much attack for you that, you know, spending the 1 resource, the 2 resources, so 1 for the first aid, 1 is the other card, healing your high for 2 for getting 2 more activations, man, the math is so easy on that. So those first aids, definitely worth it. Now, unless you're playing Ms. Marvel, I don't recommend any of these other cards like Haymaker and To the Rescue. These are just event to remove 2 threat or events to remove 3 damage. Your hero cards will do way better than what these cards can do. Now, the only card, and this is This is from the what's his name? The hero pack from. I'm just gonna go look for the card because I think it's called Beat Them Up. I just want to make sure that's what it's called. Is it called? Yeah, it's called Beat Them Up. Oh my god! And this is a sick card. And this is why I think Miss Marvel is the best character in this game. And by far with this card, no one can touch her, not even Strange. It says, deal 1 damage to the villain and each minion engage with you. But think about it, Miss Marvel embiggens, so it's 3 damage to the villain and 3 damage to each. So that is Hawkeye's explosive arrow. That is on steroids. It's not even an attack. It's a tactic card. So, which is great. You don't even get retaliated from this. It's insane. It's better than Cap Shield, because then you can just take that card back and then play it again, and then you don't even need to discard cards. So for 4 resources, you could do 4 damage to everything on the board that is engaged with you. My God. So good. Beat them up. All right, so that was my tangent again on Miss Marvel. That's why I was so excited at the beginning of this video, because I just saw that card and I'm like, all right. And then last but not least, this is one card that a lot of people don't really play with, and I don't know why. It is so good. It is basically for 3, give your hero a tough status card. Now, unless you're playing a villain like Crossbones that gains piercing all the time, this is a fantastic card, especially if you just run 1 of in your deck. All right, so 1 of in your deck, this invulnerability protects you from a damage. So again, once you have placed so many permanent cards on the table, you know, and you're like, ooh, okay, I want to stay in hero form longer, but you know, if I take another damage, maybe it's going to be dangerous. So I think this is super effective. I use this in my Iron Man deck all the time. I use this in a lot of the decks I play when I just play in Ultimate Support. So if you want the best build right now, if you're thinking about playing a alter ego support game with is all in basics, which is basically the only strategy there is. It's support cards. But I am going to play a game using, I think I'm going to use Spider-Woman and Ms. Marvel, and then I'll just showcase this stuff. And then you guys are going to see like just how broken this is and how good it's going to be, and how I can take my time with the scenario, because I'm never even worried. Never worried because of the type of control I can get, how quickly I'm going to thin out my deck. And even if I go against Ultron or any other, man, you name it, bring me a character, bring me a scenario, I'm pretty sure going basics, I'll be able to take that down. Because of that, just because of all the control and all the support and all the cards, and you're just deck thinning your deck so fast that, yeah, you're going to take a little bit of beating at the front end of the scenario, but after that, man, you're just going to be laughing. All right, so guys, this was it. If you guys like these videos, please share, like, and subscribe. This was my take on the neutral cards and how I think this is the 5th aspect of the game, and by far, it is a powerful aspect if you choose to embrace the madness. All right, guys, thank you so much for playing. Keep on playing Marvel Champions and beat the game.